So my job, Holly, great question. MarineLab is a nonprofit organization. Oh, Chicago, nice, 2012, awesome to hear, all the way from Chicago. So what we do, we take in school groups from all over the U.S. This can be anywhere from 5th grade all the way through college. And instructors like myself will take the students out on boats, teach them about the coral reef ecosystem, the seagrass ecosystem, and the mangrove ecosystem, as well as do some teaching in the classroom and some hands-on labs. So the students will usually stay 2 nights, 3 days, and that's like our typical program. So we are doing teaching. We are also doing outdoors, like hands-on education, which is one of the reasons why I love the job so much. So a question from Megan last week, we have, what is the best part of the job? And to me, I think it's definitely snorkeling at the coral reef. To me, that's what made me fall in love with the Keys. The coral is awesome. I mean, it's really nothing like your first time snorkeling at the reef. So to me, not only snorkeling the reef, but also seeing like the students their first time at the reef too, how excited they are, how amazed at, how pretty it is. So that definitely does not get old to me, and it's great seeing people their first time get to experience it as well. Cam, your question last week, shout out, you said, I think being a marine scientist is so cool, miss MarineLab and really hope I can come back. Thanks for the comment. We definitely wish you could come back as well. Glad to hear you enjoyed it. We had a question from Blaine about when are we hiring? TJ, what's up, my old buddy from Cleveland? Good to see he's on. So that people do ask us when we're hiring. In the past we've hired kind of at 2 points every year. Holly, good to see you on. You definitely had some good questions last week. So we will hire, in the past it's been like around Christmas time and usually like fall or early summer. Now that COVID has affected us like the rest of the world, I really can't say when we'll be hiring again, but you can check the MarineLab website, marinelab.org, and that is when we'll post, if you want to put in an application. So good question there, Blaine. All right, so how did I get to MarineLab? And this to me, I feel like relates to a lot of people because, yes, the question about internships, hiring, I will definitely talk about all that. A lot of people come and they're like, how do I become an instructor? How do I just even get a job in the marine science field? So that's going to be what I'm focusing on here. And we now have 13 viewers. All right, let's try to get up to 20. So I grew up in Ohio, for those of you who didn't know. And my name's Pat. I've been an instructor here for about 3.5 years. So I grew up in Ohio, knew nothing about marine biology, knew nothing about the ocean growing up. So I just knew I liked the outdoors. And eventually I, went to high school, still liked the ocean, but didn't really know that it was possible to do anything career-wise in the marine science field. So at that point, Audrey, old coworker in the past. At that point, after high school, I went to college. I had no idea what I wanted to do. So for those of you who think you have to have it all figured out in high school, don't worry. A lot of people change their majors in college. A lot of people can change their majors multiple times. So don't stress if you don't exactly know what you want to do. I had no idea what I wanted to do going into college. And so I majored in business. And I realized I hated it. So I went to originally a small school in Ohio. It was a business major. And then I decided I hated it. I wanted to get in something else. So, at that point, I really didn't know what I wanted to. At 18 years old, a lot of people don't know what they want to be yet. So what I did, I ended up going to community college for a year, kind of figuring out what I wanted to focus on. And then I moved off to Florida Gulf Coast University. That's in Fort Myers, Florida. Great school. Really happy I got the chance to go there. So at Florida Gulf Coast, I still didn't know I wanted to major in marine biology or marine science or anything marine related. I just knew I wanted to do something outside. So my major at Florida Gulf Coast was environmental studies. And I had a question, Holly and Nicole both set in questions about what to major in college for a marine scientist. And the answer is you don't need to do anything specific. Like there's not one specific type of major. Oh, my Aunt Rosie joined. Good to see you on here. So for majors, you don't have to have like specifically marine science to work in the marine science fields. People who have worked at MarineLab have been biology majors, marine science majors, marine biology majors. You could be environmental studies majors, environmental science majors. So ideally, if you want to work in the marine science fields, you probably know you like being outside. So something environmental related or marine related is a good start if you're talking about majoring. So it's not one set major. Like I was environmental studies, and it really wasn't until my senior year, last semester in college, that I took my first marine science class. So at that point, like when I took that first class, that's when I realized like, ooh, marine science would have been a great field. I'm a little behind because it was literally my last semester in college. Good question. Does MarineLab hire for business positions such as marketing? Graduated with a marketing degree. At the moment, no, but keep your eyes open because we're always looking to expand, and that position definitely could be open in the future. Definitely useful to have. So even if you know you don't want to do like specifically marine science, there are still ways that you can interact with the ocean and marine life without specifically being a marine science or environmental major. So after I took my last class in college, I knew that I wanted to focus on the marine. So I was already way behind, but to me, what I realized is it's more about like, are you enthusiastic about it? So are you actually going, like, do you really want to be in the field? Do you really want to get a job in the field? And it's also about connections. So my one professor, my only marine science professor that I took in college, he saw that I was really enthusiastic with it. And he set me up with an internship that I was able to travel all throughout Florida that summer, like right before I graduated. So through that, it was a marine science internship. I was able to finally, get some connections. I talked to a lot of professors in the field. And that's what really led me to get jobs. My little brother, Kevin, joined. Good to see you in here. And that's my biggest advice. For those of you in high school, in college, definitely talk to your teachers and professors. They are going to be the ones that can hook you up with an internship, with a job, or, they can at least point you in the right direction. You can ask them because they probably know a lot more than you do. I mean, the professors knew a lot more than I did, and I was able to get tons and tons of advice from them on how to apply for jobs, what jobs to apply for, and they can put in good recommendations for you. So it always helps to be, talking to your professors. Let's see what other questions we had. Holly, another good question. What are good places for internships? And I think that is important as well if you're trying to get a job in the marine science field or environmental science field, is experience. So it's not necessarily only about like, oh, I got straight A's in school. You do have to get, experience somehow. And before I talk about that, we got another good question. When MarineLab, when are we planning on reopening? So that is from Grace. Right now we're all virtual. So if you go to marinelab.org, you can check out, we're doing all these virtual classes. So you can see a lot of stuff on there. We have a whole virtual site. We don't know right now when we're actually going to take students ourselves, so right on campus. But in the meantime, definitely look on the website. We'll be posting updates on there. So good question. So back to internships. And so what I did when I was a junior in college, I was still kind of focused on the environmental side and not necessarily the marine side. And I wanted experience in the field. So I called up my local state park, and just asked them, hey, do you have any internships? And they hooked me up with an internship. They said, yeah, come on in next week. So sometimes, it just takes contacting the places that you'd want to work and be like, hey, are you offering internships? I'd love to, get some experience in the field. So I think that is definitely more important than GPA. That doesn't mean get like all C's, but I'm saying if you have like a 3.5 versus a 4.0 GPA, it's not that much of a difference. It really comes down to what kind of experience do you have in the field. So if you, I know MarineLab in the past used to actually hire interns. There's a lot of marine science organizations that do still. So now we don't anymore, but definitely like contact places that you'd be interested in. even contact your teachers and professors and be like, hey, I want to get some experience in marine science. What do you think I should do? So that is my advice for that one. We have Bailey question here, which is a good one. Do you need any special subjects during school? I would say for that one, no. You don't need, like if you're talking high school, college, not necessarily. It definitely helps. Like I said, I was an environmental studies major, so it wasn't until my very last semester that I actually took a marine science class. So, that really impacted my thought process on it. Like, okay, well, maybe I don't need specific classes, more about the overall experience and kind of my enthusiasm. So what is the criteria for a non-US citizen? Unfortunately, I don't have a good answer for that right now. But I'll be trying to get back to you on that one. Thanks for the question. So subjects, not specifically, but it doesn't hurt if you take marine or environmental subjects, like any kind of ecology, oceanography, if you have the option to do it. In my high school, there was no kind of classes like that. So I was in Ohio, not really by the ocean. So there was no options for kind of any marine stuff in high school for me. In college, you get to kind of broaden a little bit and you get more variety in what you can take. So that does a little bit, but again, I think it's more about your experience, your internships, contacting your professors, their advice than specific classes. So let's see what other questions I have to go through. Advice. Oh, we have a question from Maddie. What advice would you give a high schooler that knows they want to be a marine biologist? So if you are high school and you know you want to be a marine biologist, you are already ahead of where I was at the time, because I had no idea until very late. So I would say just talk to your teachers in high school. If you're going to college, see if they have a good marine biology program, or they're known for doing stuff on the water, in the ocean, somewhere where you can get experience. That is the key, that you are able to get some kind of experience. For MarineLab, since we're an educational program, it helps to have teaching experience, any kind of teaching. So it could be working for a camp when you're younger. It could be, just working, teaching kids in any aspect, because you do have to work with kids here from 5th grade all the way through college. So it's not just only about the ocean and being out on the water. It's about also the education part. And some people, if they do get some experience in the field, let's say you get this internship, you're out on the water every day, you might realize you don't like it, specifically being a marine biologist on the water. So if you're on the water, you do have to deal with elements. You have to deal with, it being too hot, humid, cold. You have to deal with bugs. So some people don't like that, but maybe they want to be a lab biologist. So maybe they want to just work in the lab and not be out on the water. Those are options. And if you just want to work in some relation with the marine science field and the ocean, you don't necessarily need to be a marine biologist. So if you're going in medicine and you're a vet, you could be working with helping manatees that are hurt or turtles. If you are a business person, you could start a business that in some way is relating to the ocean. If you are a lawyer, you could work on laws that are protecting the ocean and protecting the environment. So there are a ton of ways that you can really get involved if you don't want to specifically major in something marine or environmental science related. But for me, what drew me to like this job and the field is I really like being in the water. So I want to be in the water. I want to be snorkeling at the reef. And this is a perfect job to do it. So I've loved this job for 3 years. Hope to stay a few more years. There's also organizations, especially because coral now is on the decline and it's been dying off because of global climate change. There are organizations that are always hiring people to plant coral. So there's one down here called CRF, Coral Restoration Foundation. They're hiring people if you think it'd be cool to plant coral on the reef, plant baby corals and really help the health of our reefs. That's a good option. So, if you look around, you ask around, hopefully you'll be able to get some good connections for that. Any other questions? I'm seeing if I have any that I didn't answer that were written right now. All right, I think that is all of them. We have, yes. So, good question. Is there any websites or resources you know of to look at the different types of jobs one can do that is marine biology related? Yes, and I am actually on some listservs, so they like email about once a week, could be once every other week, jobs in the field that are hiring. So I would be happy to get you that information afterwards. I'll find a way to link it to you, send us a message afterwards, and I'll be able to hopefully get some resources for you. Because yeah, sometimes like that's a good option. You can get emails. That's actually how I got my first email in the job in the marine science field. It was a former professor who knew I was very into the subject, wanted a job, emailed me this job offer, and that was my first experience in the field. So definitely like staying in touch with professors through email. Oftentimes they have jobs. Organizations are contacting professors and teachers saying, hey, do you know any students that might be interested in this type of job? So if you, again, staying in contact with your professors and teachers is a great way to help you get connected and get some easy job offers. I think that's all. Let's see. Yeah. So any last questions, guys? Otherwise, I think we'll end it here. It's been about 20 minutes. No problem, Holly. I appreciate you sending in great questions. And anyone else, if you have any in the comment. Favorite part of the keys. Thank you, Cam. To me, favorite part of the keys. You know, it's hard to say because I actually spent a little bit of time in Big Pine Key, which is about an hour south of where we are, hour and a half south of Key Largo. So Key Largo, where we are at MarineLab, is the first key, and it's a big chain of islands. And I spent a little bit of time in Big Pine Key, which is more south. It's more secluded there. So it kind of depends what you like. Key Largo is more a little busy because it's closer to Miami, but if you like the more secluded kind of almost like island living life, then you'd be more south. To me, it's hard to say. I'm glad I got to experience both. I'm glad I got to experience down south a little bit where it's less crowded, and now I'm glad to experience up here where it's kind of easier to get to the mainland, Miami. How crucial is it to have boating experience? Great question, Blaine. I would say not that crucial. Because usually if we're taking students out, we have captains driving the boats. But if the instructors ourselves are out on the boats, like if we're doing research or something with just instructors, no students, no paying customers, then we're allowed to take the boats out. So it's not crucial. And the people who do get hired here, there is a very long training process. It goes on about a month. So you get to learn everything, what we teach, how we teach. You get to be able to practice driving the boats. So it definitely doesn't hurt to have boating experience, but I would not say that doesn't make or break if we hire you here. Does MarineLab, a typical day look like at MarineLab? So generally it starts in the morning about 8:30. Students who come, they had the previous day that they get settled in. They'll start a boat trip at 9 o'clock. It goes till noon. And then in the afternoon, usually they have another boat trip. So pretty much you're spending the majority of time in the water, and then you get back about 5. And at that point, it's not over yet. The day's not over. They'll have dinner, and then they'll do 2 hands-on activities, classes, or labs. And then the students, they get done with their days about 9 o'clock. So instructors will be going a little bit longer on days that you're working with the kids at night to get out about 9:30. So generally it is, I say most of the time you're on a boat, but a good portion of the time you're also doing labs, hands-on labs, and teaching in the classroom as well. So it's a good variety. But it's definitely not boring. I can tell you that's why I love this job so much. I'm getting to be out and active on the water. All right. Oh, last question. Any international organizations? Yes, we work with a lot of. So if we're collecting data, whether it be on like water quality, whether it be on microplastics, we definitely work with international organizations, U.S. Global organizations. So in our free time where there's not students here, we actually do a lot of research. So it could be on coral, it could be on algae, it could be on phytoplankton, and that all is related to the health of our ecosystems. All right, everybody, thank you all for sticking with this. I hope you learned something about the field. Hopefully I could help out in some way. If you have any further questions, type them up in the chat box. And if you follow us on all social medias, hopefully you do. Obviously, if you're here now, you're on our Instagram, but check out our virtual website, marinelab.org. We have all kind of information and videos on there. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook. My coworker Maddie, she runs the social media stuff. She does a good job updating it and posting cool stuff on there. So we appreciate seeing the comments too of people who came here and they loved it, because I love hearing that that's what you want to be. This experience is what made you want to become a marine biologist. Because to me, that's what happened too. I first saw the keys, first saw the reef. It really wanted to make me become a marine biologist. So take care, everybody, and definitely look for all information MarineLab on either Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.